The steady hum of the Stellar Wanderer's hyperdrive engines filled the corridors as Nathan Reed made his way to the observation deck. 3 months into their deep space mission routine had settled over the crew like a comfortable blanket. The veteran Terran soldier paused at a junction, his genetically enhanced hearing picking up the subtle vibrations that indicated his destination. The observation deck stretched before him, its transparent walls offering an unobstructed view of the star-scattered void. Liriana stood at the far end, her silhouette framed against the cosmic backdrop. The Shindari warrior's azure skin seemed to catch and reflect the distant starlight, creating an almost ethereal glow around her form. "You're late," she said without turning around, her voice carrying that melodic quality unique to her species. Nathan approached his enhanced auditory systems, picking up the subtle harmonics in her speech frequencies that most humans couldn't even detect. "The cargo bay needed final inspection, captain's orders." She turned, fixing him with those remarkable silver eyes that held depths like twin galaxies. "Always so dutiful. Don't you ever wonder what would happen if you just ignored an order?" A smile tugged at Nathan's lips. Coming from someone who follows the ancient codes of her people religiously, that's rich. Liriana laughed, the sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Touché." Though, speaking of ancient codes, she leaned against the observation window, studying him with an expression that mixed mischief with something deeper. "There's one tradition my people have that might amuse you." "Oh, and what's that?" If a human were to correctly pronounce a Shindari's true name, not the simplified version we use for other species, but our actual birth name, they would be bound to that person for life. She watched his reaction carefully. "Of course it's virtually impossible. Our names contain harmonics and frequencies that human vocal cords simply cannot produce." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Bound for life. That sounds serious." "It's an old superstition." Liriana waved dismissively. "My grandmother used to tell stories about it. She claimed it was based on some ancient spiritual connection between souls. Romantic nonsense, really." "So what is your real name?" Nathan asked, genuinely curious. Liriana's eyes sparkled with mischief. "I suppose there's no harm in telling you. After all, it's impossible for you to say it correctly." She cleared her throat, then spoke a word that seemed to flow like music, Liriak Navseth. Nathan listened carefully, his enhanced hearing, analyzing every nuance of the pronunciation. The genetic modifications he had received after the war hadn't just improved his combat abilities, they'd given him unprecedented control over his vocal cords and auditory perception. "Interesting," he murmured, then took a breath. "Liriahanaveseth." The word left his lips perfectly formed, each harmonic precisely matched every subtle frequency reproduced with impossible accuracy. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Liriana's eyes widened in shock, her composure cracking for the first time since Nathan had known her. She took a step backward, one hand reaching for the wall to steady herself. "That's impossible," she whispered. "No human. Can you just, how did you—" Nathan studied her reaction with growing concern. "Liriana, are you all right?" "You said it perfectly." Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "Every harmonic, every frequency. By the ancient laws of my people, I am now." She swallowed hard. "Bound to you." "Bound? I thought you said it was just a superstition." Liriana's laugh held no humor. "So did I. But something changed when you spoke my true name. I can feel it, a connection that wasn't there before." She looked at him with a mixture of wonder and fear. "According to the old ways, as long as you live, I am sworn to your service, your protection, your everything." Before Nathan could respond, the ship's emergency klaxons began blaring. Red lights flashed in sequence along the corridors as Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the intercom. "All hands to battle stations. We have multiple bogies approaching from Sector 7. This is not a drill." The romantic tension of the moment shattered like crystal as both warriors shifted into combat mode. Nathan grabbed his weapon harness from a nearby locker, while Liriana activated the intricate device on her wrist, a control interface for the ship's advanced Shindari defensive systems. "How many ships?" Nathan asked as they raced toward their stations. 15, maybe 20? Liriana replied, her fingers dancing over holographic displays that appeared in the air before her. "Configuration unknown, but they're moving fast." The Stellar Wanderer lurched as the first enemy salvo impacted their shields. Nathan grabbed a support beam to steady himself, noticing how Liriana moved with fluid grace despite the ship's violent motion. They reached the primary armament control room just as the ship shuddered under another impact. Liriana immediately bonded with the ship's systems, her consciousness extending through the vessel's neural networks like a digital ghost. "Shields at 70%, she reported. "They're using some kind of adaptive weaponry. It's learning our defensive patterns." Nathan took position at the tactical console, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to track targets that would be invisible to normal human eyes. "I'm seeing 12 confirmed vessels. They look like..." He paused, studying the readings. "These aren't pirates or raiders. This is military hardware." Through the viewing port, they could see the enemy ships, sleek predatory vessels, with an organic quality to their design. Energy beams lanced between the combatants, creating a deadly light show against the backdrop of space. "Nathan?" Liriana said, her voice tight with concentration. "I'm reading something strange. These ships, they're scanning us. Not just our defenses, they're scanning our crew. Specifically, they're looking for genetic markers." "Genetic markers? What kind?" Before she could answer, the ship's lights dimmed as a massive energy pulse washed over them. When the systems came back online, they found themselves surrounded by a spherical formation of enemy vessels. "Surrender your vessel," came a voice over all frequencies. The words carried an odd quality, not quite human, but not entirely alien either. "We know what you carry. Submit to genetic screening and your crew will be spared." Captain Morrison's voice came through their comm units. "All department heads to the bridge immediately." Nathan and Liriana exchanged glances before heading to the bridge. When they arrived, they found a scene of controlled chaos. Officers hunched over their stations while holographic displays showed the tactical situation from every angle. "Report," Captain Morrison commanded as they entered. Lieutenant Hayes, the ship's science officer, turned from his console. "Captain, they're not here for our cargo. They're specifically scanning for genetic combinations. The computer's analyzing their transmission patterns, and it looks like they're searching for specific individuals." Nathan felt Liriana tense beside him. "Captain," she said slowly, "I believe they may be after us." Morrison raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "The timing can't be coincidental. Nathan just successfully pronounced my true name, something that shouldn't be possible for any human, without specific genetic modifications. And now we're being attacked by ships that are scanning for genetic markers." Dr. Sarah Vaughn, the ship's chief medical officer, suddenly looked up from her datapad. "Wait, I've been analyzing the scans from our pre-mission physicals. Nathan, your genetic modifications aren't random. They're specifically designed to interact with Shindari biofields." Nathan stared at her. "What are you talking about? My mods were for enhanced combat performance." "The vocal modifications, yes, but there are other changes, subtle ones, that wouldn't be apparent without detailed analysis. Your nervous system has been altered to be compatible with Shindari neural frequencies. Your genetic structure has markers that would allow for cross-species bonding at a molecular level." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Liriana was the first to speak. "This wasn't an accident. Someone planned this. They wanted Nathan to be able to speak my name. They wanted us to bond." Another energy pulse rocked the ship stronger this time. The lights flickered and several consoles sparked. "Captain," came the voice of the enemy commander again. "We will not ask again. Surrender the specimens for processing." Morrison's face hardened. "Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. We're not giving up anyone." The next several hours blurred together in a haze of battle. The Stellar Wanderer fought with desperate precision using every trick and tactic in their arsenal. Nathan found himself working in perfect synchronization with Liriana, their movements complementing each other in ways that should have been impossible. Through Liriana's connection to the ship's systems, they could feel the vessel's pain as hull breaches opened and systems failed. But something strange was happening. Each time Nathan and Liriana worked together, their efficiency increased exponentially. It was as if their combined consciousness was greater than the sum of its parts. The Bond Liriana gasped during a brief lull in the fighting. It's not just ceremonial. There's an actual neural link forming between us. Nathan nodded, feeling it too. A growing awareness of her thoughts and emotions, a sense of connection that went beyond anything he'd experienced. When she reached for a control, he knew what she needed before she asked. The battle raged on, but something had changed. Working together, they began turning the tide. Nathan's enhanced abilities complemented Liriana's technical expertise perfectly, while her growing understanding of his thought patterns allowed her to anticipate his needs. It was during the fiercest part of the engagement that the revelation came. One of the enemy ship's damaged and leaking atmosphere transmitted a final message before it exploded. The bonding was necessary. The Council planned for generations. 2 species, 1 future. You cannot escape what you are destined to become. In the aftermath of the battle, as the Stellar Wanderer limped away from the debris field, the survivors gathered in the conference room. The ship had taken heavy damage, but they were alive. Dr. Vaughn spread her findings across the table's holographic display. After analyzing the data we captured from the enemy ships, I'm afraid the picture that emerges is disturbing. She manipulated the display, showing genetic charts and complex diagrams. There's a conspiracy that spans both our societies. Elements within the Terran Alliance and the Shindari Collective have been working together for decades. They've been engineering specific genetic modifications, carefully selecting individuals, all leading up to this moment. What moment? Morrison asked grimly. The creation of a human Shindari hybrid bond. Not just any bond, something deeper and more permanent than either species has achieved before. Nathan and Liriana aren't just compatible. They're designed to be perfect complements to each other. Liriana spoke for the first time since the battle ended. You're saying our entire relationship is artificial engineered. Not your feelings, Dr. Vaughn said gently. Those are real. But the ability to form this bond, the genetic compatibility, that was arranged. Nathan felt rage building inside him. We've been manipulated, used as lab rats. It would seem so, Morrison agreed. The question now is, what do we do about it? Before anyone could answer, Liriana stood up abruptly. I need some air, she said, then walked out of the room. Nathan found her, an hour later in her quarters, sitting on her bunk and staring at the wall. The air shimmered slightly around her, evidence of the emotional distress affecting her biofield. Can I come in? He asked. She nodded without looking at him. He sat beside her, careful to maintain some distance. I keep wondering, she said finally, how much of what I feel is real and how much is just genetic programming. Nathan considered her words carefully. Does it matter? She turned to look at him, confusion in her silver eyes. Of course it matters. If we're just puppets dancing to someone else's tune. Are we? Nathan interrupted. Yes, we were set up. Yes, they engineered our compatibility. But Liriana, when you look at me when we work together, when you laugh at my terrible jokes, does that feel artificial to you? She was quiet for a long moment. No, she whispered. It feels like the most real thing I've ever experienced. Then maybe it doesn't matter how we got here. Maybe what matters is what we choose to do now. The ship's intercom crackled to life. Nathan Reed and Liriana to the bridge immediately. They arrived to find Captain Morrison studying a decoded message from Terran Command. Orders? Nathan asked. Morrison nodded. We're to proceed to Station Omega-7 immediately. Apparently, there are other bonded pairs that have been created through this program. The conspiracy runs deeper than we thought. Over the following days, as they traveled toward their destination, Nathan and Liriana spent hours talking. They explored their bond, learning its capabilities and limitations. They discovered they could share sensory experiences, thoughts, even memories if they concentrated hard enough. Despite the artificial nature of their connection's origin, their relationship deepened. The bond might have been engineered, but the love that grew from it was entirely their own. When they reached Station Omega 7, they found a gathering unlike anything they'd imagined. Dozens of human-alien pairs filled the station's central plaza. Not just Terran Shindari bonds, but combinations with species they'd never seen before. Dr. James Harrison, the station's director, greeted them personally. Nathan, Liriana, I know this must all be very confusing for you. Confusing is one word for it, Nathan said dryly. I understand, but please allow me to explain. What happened to all of you wasn't done out of malice. It was necessity. He led them to a secure briefing room where other pairs had already gathered. The room buzzed with multiple languages and harmonics as different species communicated. For over a century, Dr. Harrison began, our various species have been at an impasse. We coexist, but we don't truly unite. Our differences are too great, our biology too incompatible. Wars break out regularly, trade disputes cripple economies, and expansion into new territories becomes a source of constant conflict. He activated a holographic projector showing images of various alien species and their territories. Some forward-thinking individuals from multiple species came together with a radical idea. What if we could create true unity, not just political alliances, but biological ones, bonds so deep that war between our peoples would become literally unthinkable? Liriana leaned forward. So you created us, children of two worlds. Not children, a new voice said. They turned to see a figure approach, distinctly humanoid, but with features that suggested multiple species heritage. Partners, bridges. Dr. Harrison nodded to the newcomer. This is Commander Alex Chen. Sorry. I mean Commander Zhang. He and his partner were part of the first wave 5 years ago. Nathan studied Commander Zhang, noting the subtle signs of genetic modification, and it worked. Better than we hoped, Zhang replied. Zhang and her Varlan partner haven't just bonded, they've become something new, something that can understand and mediate between species in ways we never thought possible. A Shindari woman beside Zhang nodded. Through our bond, we've gained insights into both civilizations that pure-blood members of either species couldn't achieve. We've helped prevent 3 wars and open 6 new trade routes. Dr. Harrison continued. The program has created 47 successful bonds across 12 species. Each pair becomes a living bridge between civilizations capable of understanding and translating not just languages, but entire ways of thinking. Nathan felt Liriana's hand slip into his. And now you want us to join this bridge network? The choice is yours, Dr. Harrison said. Always. But consider this, the attack on your ship came from factions within both our governments who see this program as a threat to the established order. They fear losing power in a truly united galaxy. Over the following days, Nathan and Liriana met with other bonded pairs, learning about their experiences. The bonds were all different. Some focused on emotional resonance, others on intellectual synthesis, some on pure physical compatibility. What they don't tell you in the orientation, confided a Terran man bonded to a crystalline being, is that it gets overwhelming sometimes. Feeling everything they feel, thinking their thoughts alongside your own. The first month nearly drove me crazy. His partner's crystalline form pulsed with soft colors. For me, the difficulty was learning to feel emotions at all. My species experiences the universe through harmonic vibrations. Suddenly having chemical reactions affect my consciousness was jarring. Despite the challenges, every pair they spoke with expressed a deep satisfaction with their bond. They had found not just partners, but a new way of experiencing existence. The decision came during a gathering. In the station's garden, a vast dome filled with plants from dozens of worlds. Nathan and Liriana sat beneath a tree that sang in response to their presence, its leaves chiming like musical notes. "I've been thinking," Liriana said, "about what the program means about us being created for this purpose." Nathan nodded, encouraging her to continue. "Even if they designed us to be compatible, they couldn't design us to love each other. They couldn't program the way I feel when you smile or how perfectly right it feels when we work together. That's ours." "I agree. And I've been thinking about the bigger picture too. If we can help prevent wars, if our bond can bring species together, isn't that worth more than our anger at being manipulated?" A new voice interrupted them. "That's the spirit we're looking for." They turned to see Dr. Harrison approaching with a tall, elegant figure they hadn't met before. The newcomer's features suggested a mixture of human and something else, something that shimmered between forms. "Nathan, Liriana, I'd like you to meet Ambassador Kalar. They represent a coalition of species beyond our current borders, civilizations that have been watching our program with great interest." Ambassador Kilar spoke with a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We have been observing these bond experiments with fascination. In our region of space, we have achieved harmony through very different means. We would be interested in establishing diplomatic contact through your program's ambassadors." Dr. Harrison smiled. "You see, the implications go far beyond just our known species. You could help expand understanding across the entire galaxy." Back in their shared quarters that night, Nathan and Liriana held each other close, feeling the steady rhythm of their synchronized heartbeats. "Are you sure about this?" Nathan asked. "Once we formally join the program, there's no going back. We'll be representatives of both our species, responsible for things larger than ourselves." Liriana was quiet for a moment. "Do you remember what you said when I told you about the name bond? About it being impossible for humans to pronounce?" "Yes." "I was wrong. You did more than just say my name, you understood it. You heard the song inside it, the meaning that goes beyond sound. That's what we can be for our peoples. We can help them hear the songs in each other." Nathan smiled, feeling a profound sense of rightness settle over him. "Then let's do it. Let's build bridges." Their formal induction into the program took place a week later. The ceremony combined traditions from both their species, Terran vows of service, and Shindari harmony rituals. As they spoke their commitments, they felt their bond deepen even further. The work was challenging. Their first assignment sent them to a disputed system where Terran miners and Shindari researchers were in constant conflict over resource rights. Through careful mediation and their unique ability to understand both perspectives, they helped create a sharing agreement that benefited everyone. Their second mission took them to a first contact scenario with a silicon-based species. Their bond allowed them to serve as perfect translators, not just of language, but of entire worldviews. Months turned into years. Nathan and Liriana became one of the program's most successful pairs, helping establish peaceful contact with 6 new species and preventing 2 major conflicts. But success came with a price. The bond that made them so effective also isolated them from their original peoples. They were no longer fully human or Shindari. They had become something between something new. "Do you ever miss it?" Liriana asked one day as they stood on the observation deck of their new ship, the Unity's Dream. Being just yourself, not sharing everything with another consciousness. Nathan considered the question. "Sometimes. But then I remember that day in the observation deck when you first told me your name. I think about how empty my life was before I knew you, before I understood what connection really meant. The conspiracy gave us the ability to bond." Liriana mused. "But we chose what to do with it. And I choose this Nathan. I choose us, and I choose the future we're building." Their greatest challenge came during their 5th year as active ambassadors. A radical faction from multiple species, led by the survivors of the group that had attacked the Stellar Wanderer, launched a coordinated assault on bonded pairs throughout the galaxy. They see us as abominations, Captain Morrison explained during an emergency briefing. Unnatural hybrids that threaten the purity of our respective species. Nathan and Liriana had been assigned to lead a special diplomatic mission to the faction's stronghold, a massive space station, hidden in a nebula at the edge of known space. Why us? Nathan asked. We're not soldiers anymore. Because, Morrison said grimly, they've specifically requested to negotiate with the first successful pair. They want to meet the humans who started it all. The mission was dangerous. The station was heavily fortified, surrounded by mines, and patrolled by ships from multiple species. But their diplomatic status protected them, at least in theory. The station itself was a marvel of xenophobic engineering, clearly designed to keep different species separate, even as they worked together. Humans occupied one section, Shindari another, with mechanical barriers preventing casual contact. They were escorted to a conference room where they found themselves facing a council of representatives from various species, all united in their opposition to the bonding program. "Welcome, abominations," said the council's leader. A human woman with cold eyes and scarred hands. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, sorry Smith, and you're here to die." Liriana stepped forward. "We're here under diplomatic immunity. We came to discuss your grievances." "Our grievances?" Another council member, a Shindari male, laughed bitterly. "You represent the end of everything our species holds sacred. Genetic purity, cultural integrity, the natural order of the universe." Nathan and Liriana exchanged a glance. Through their bond, they shared a moment of perfect understanding. "You're afraid," Nathan said simply. "You see us changing the galaxy and you're terrified of being left behind." "We are not afraid," the human admiral snapped. "We are preserving the natural order, maintaining the boundaries that evolution created for good reason." Over the following hours, they debated. Nathan and Liriana presented data showing the positive results of the bonding program, decreased conflicts, increased trade, revolutionary scientific breakthroughs achieved through cross-species collaboration. The council countered with their own data statistics, showing decreased birth rates among pure blood populations near major bonding centers, cultural traditions being abandoned, languages dying out as hybrid pigeons emerged. "Don't you see?" Liriana said during one particularly heated exchange. "Diversity doesn't require separation. We can maintain our individual cultures while still building connections." "Your very existence proves otherwise," the Shindari council member replied. "Look at yourselves. Are you human? Are you Shindari? You are neither, and both a mockery of what evolution intended." The negotiations seemed to be failing until Nathan had an inspiration. "You want to see what we really are? Let me show you." Before anyone could stop him, he reached out and took Liriana's hand. Their bond flared to life, visible as a soft light that began to emanate from their joined fingers. "This is what we are," Nathan said, his voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't be possible from human vocal cords. "We are not less than what we were. We are more." The light spread, touching the minds of everyone in the room. For a brief moment, every person present experienced the bond, the profound connection, the expanded awareness, the deep sense of unity that transcended biological boundaries. Several council members stepped back in shock. Others stood transfixed, tears running down their faces. "That was," one of them whispered. "Impossible," Admiral Smith finished, but her voice lacked conviction. The seed had been planted. Over the following days, negotiations continued, but the tenor had changed. More moderate voices began to emerge, questioning the faction's absolute opposition to the program. Not everyone was convinced. A hardline group led by Admiral Smith and 3 other extremists made one final attempt to end the program permanently by attacking the diplomatic ship directly. The battle was brief but intense. Nathan and Liriana, working in perfect synchronization, managed to disable the attacking ships without causing any fatalities. "Why?" Admiral Smith asked as she was taken into custody. "Why didn't you kill us? We would have killed you." Nathan looked at her with something approaching pity. Because despite everything, we understand you. Your fear, your anger, we've felt it too, but we chose a different path. The failed attack marked a turning point. Public opinion across multiple species began to shift. As more people learned about the bonds, curiosity replaced fear for many. A year later, Nathan and Liriana received an unexpected summons. They were to return to Earth to the very facility where Nathan had received his genetic modifications years earlier. Dr. James Harrison, now significantly older, but still energetic, greeted them personally. "I have news that I think will interest you," he said, leading them through familiar corridors. "We've made a breakthrough. The bonding process, which was essentially random luck, despite all our planning, can now be replicated at will." He led them to a new wing of the facility where they found dozens of volunteer pairs from various species. "But here's the amazing part," Harrison continued. "We've discovered that the bond doesn't require genetic modification. It requires something much simpler: mutual consent, emotional openness, and a genuine desire to understand another being. The modifications we gave you simply made it easier to achieve." Liriana stared at the volunteers, many of whom showed no signs of genetic alteration. "You mean any two beings can potentially form this bond?" "With the right conditions and careful guidance, yes. We're calling it the Open Bond Protocol. No modification required, no species restrictions." The implications were staggering. If anyone could potentially bond with anyone else, the entire galactic social order would be transformed. "There's more," Harrison said, his excitement evident. "The first generation of truly bonded children have begun exhibiting abilities we never anticipated. Enhanced empathy across species, intuitive understanding of alien languages, problem-solving capabilities that surpass their parents." He showed them to an observation room where young humans and aliens played together, their differences forgotten in the universal language of childhood. "The future is arriving faster than we ever imagined," Nathan murmured, watching a human toddler and a young Shindari child share toys with perfect understanding. Years passed. Nathan and Liriana found themselves at the center of a rapidly changing galaxy. The bonding program expanded exponentially with open bond centers established on hundreds of worlds. They weren't without opposition. Several species closed their borders entirely, declaring bonded individuals persona non grata. Wars still broke out, though less frequently and with less intensity than before. But progress was undeniable. Trade routes flourished, scientific collaboration reached unprecedented levels, and art forms emerged that could only have been created through interspecies cooperation. Nathan and Liriana celebrated their 10th anniversary as bonded partners on the observation deck of a new vessel, the New Harmony flagship of the Interspecies Diplomatic Corps. "Do you ever wonder," Liriana asked, "what would have happened if you hadn't been able to say my name that day?" Nathan smiled, pulling her close. "No, because this was always going to happen. Maybe not exactly this way. Maybe not with us specifically, but something like this." The galaxy was ready for unity. It just needed someone to take the first step. The stars wheeled overhead, each one representing civilizations that were slowly learning to reach across the void to touch one another. And at the center of it all, two beings who had found love in the space between worlds continued their dance among the stars. Proof that the greatest distances could be bridged by the simplest of connections, two hearts beating as one. Their story had begun with a joke, a challenge, a name spoken in jest. It became something far greater, a love that transformed not just two individuals, but an entire galaxy. And as they stood together watching new stars being born in the cosmic distance, they knew their journey was just beginning. The bond between them pulsed with life and possibility, a beacon of hope in the vast darkness of space. They were living proof that love could conquer any obstacle, bridge any gap, unite any difference. And perhaps that, more than any grand design or genetic manipulation, was the real miracle. In a universe vast and cold, two beings had found each other, and in finding each other had shown the way for countless others to do the same. The future stretched for them, full of challenges and wonders yet to be discovered. But whatever came, they would face it together. Nathan and Liriana. Human and Shindari bonded forever by a name spoken in love across the infinite expanse of space.